ours says where people find Christ and have family or whatever. I can't quote exactly how it wrote it. But yeah, the bastion of liberal Christianity. Well, there is no such thing. Liberal Christianity is not Christian. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. But liberal Christianity is not Christian. Because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. You can't preach a series of sermons about how the Buddhists and the Hindus are all going to heaven because they're following their own way, because it's just not biblical. So, yeah, exactly. Back to the false prophets. Exactly. It's all tied together. All right, so let's look at this last piece. An increase in wickedness. Now, we're not going to spend nearly as much time here because this one is so obvious. Okay? Remember, we started with this verse. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. I started thinking about this, and the first verse that popped into my head was this one. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. Now, Jeff just used that verse a couple weeks ago. He started this series. Okay? But listen to what Jesus said at the end of Matthew chapter 24. This is at the end of his long list of things in the Olivet Discourse. We never even talked about this in the beginning because I knew I was going to come back to it today. At the end of that long list, Jesus makes this statement. As it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. Thoughts and inclination of the heart was evil continuously. That doesn't describe our world. I mean, there it is. And Jesus said, as it was in Noah's day, that's what it'll be like at the end. Paul gives us two descriptions, one in Timothy, one in Romans. We're going to read both of them. But mark this actually, you know, Sunday school class in a few weeks as Jeff continues through 2 Timothy. There will be terrible times in the last days. Listen to this description and see if this doesn't describe society as we know. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. That's the liberal church. Now, I shrank that list down into 3 key points. Self-love and self-centeredness. Rampant in our culture. It's the me culture. Okay? It's been going on for a while. Secular humanism appeared really big at the end of the last century, the 80s and 90s. What is the whole philosophy of secular humanism? I am my own God. I can make my own rules. That's self-centeredness. Okay? Lack of self-control. Abusive, brutal, all those other words. No self-control. And again, we see that everywhere. Turn on the news every day, you're going to see people with no self-control. And finally, lovers of money and pleasure. We live in the most materialistic society in the world. Fact. And then having a form of godliness without its power. I can tell you something. That's a picture of our world. Well, yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a new philosophy. It just hit the market. Yeah. Now listen to what Paul says in Romans. This is the end of chapter 1 of Romans. Earlier in the chapter, he talks about the homosexuality stuff. Okay? Again, people who say the Bible doesn't talk about homosexuality never actually read it because Paul's pretty clear. We talked about it last week. Well, listen to what he says, and he gives us a general description at the end of chapter 1. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice, gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, and no mercy. Now those lists are very simple. Talks about the same kind of stuff. Paul makes very similar pictures. But here's what really intrigued me. All kids are being taught how to be rebellious in the public schools. And here's why. The rise of the, well, okay, yeah. We do not need to look at statistics to know we're living in an evil world. But the rise of the LGBTQ culture is very concerning and should alarm us. Because more than anything else, that's where the rebellion is coming from. I can tell you that, it's true. Okay?
When the parents become stricter, they fault the parents.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Disobedience to parents. I mean, as I read those two lists, they just jumped off the page. And I thought, man, that is a picture of our public school system. Now, let me give you some really interesting stuff. This is from Gallup. And again, if Gallup publishes it, you can trust it. Gallup is one of the 2 or 3 best polling organizations in the world. Okay? Gallup finds 9% of U.S. adults identifying as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or something other than straight or heterosexual in 2025. This percentage has more than doubled since Gallup first polled the LGBTQ plus identification in 2012. So in 13 years, from 2012 to 2025, the population of people identifying as LGBTQ doubled. Nothing else in culture is increasing at that rate. Nothing. That is just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Okay? Now, God understood the problem before the problem became a problem. Listen to what Isaiah says. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Think about that. Yeah, exactly what's happening. Everything is backwards. Evil isn't really evil, it's good. Good isn't really good, it's evil. Everything is backwards. Up is down, down is up. Right is left, left is right. Yeah. Exactly. Now it's evil. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Yep.
This, my sister-in-law Debbie, when her sister lived in Wisconsin, that if they even look their kids called them all.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I will never forget. This is not new. This has been going on a while. God is working on me 50 years from now. He came home one day and he was upset about some discipline I was administering. And I never was one to beat him a lot. I was very creative in my discipline. But he said, I'm just going to call social services. And I said, what do you want to talk to? I got them all on speed dial. Because I was working for the court. And he said, what? And I said, what do you want to talk to? I said, I got my speed dial. One button, I can get any of them down there. And he changed the tune real fast. But that's what they teach them in school.
Yep.
Yep.
First I will say, your phone, I'll get you number.
Yep. Exactly. So, anyway, next week we're going to look at this gospel will be preached around the world and signs in the heavens.